is going bananas. Right over there. I'm using the Hoochie Mama. We've had a full moon all night for the last 2 nights. And it's bright out here. I could just go for a walk. You can't quite tell with the camera, but you can see everything. See my truck. I can see the tree line 70 yards away. So right when that moon sets, the sun will come up. I'm not sure how that's going to play out with the elk activity this morning. It's opening day. It's 5 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:34. I'm not expecting to see any elk tonight. Got a couple hundred sheep. The dog followed us all the way back to camp. Sheep herders' camp is right over there. Look at these trails. This is what I was looking for. This is a serious choke point. Because down here is a huge rock basin. And that's also where the hunt pressure comes from. I found another trail crossing this hillside. This is not a hiking trail. It's a game trail. So I'm heading over to check my camera, which is maybe 400 yards that way. There's this big rock field. And you can see this trail right through here that they use to get around it. And this is a game trail, not a hiking trail. So I'm making my way away from that camera location. Came across more water. Definitely could be a wallow. And if there's this much water here, there's more water, up in here. Man, I can even smell stuff. These elk could be anywhere, bedded on the other side of those mountains up there. That's not very far away. This thing kind of wraps around, creates a bowl. There is a ton of water coming out the side of this mountain. Another possible wallow here. It's definitely running water. Trying to make my way across. I gotta get out of the area here and up high. You can see the mud thrown up onto the branches. Here's a better view of where I'm hunting. The wallow's over there. My cameras are right down there. There's so many entrance points into this area. So you don't know where they're coming. Are they bedded up there? Did they cross right up and over? Are they on the north face? they could be right up and over on the north face there. Betting it's about 70 degrees today. Sunny. There's a major trail. Comes right up and over. Goes up and over that way. So my, I call it the marsh, upper marsh area, is this whole area. Right down in there. The camera is somewhere right down over there. And where I was at last night is on the other side of that ridge line. In fact, I had a plan to come up over this ridge line to drop into this valley. There's a good creek in there. Hey, let me give you a zoom over. Lots of grass. Lots of places for these elk to go. They get pushed out of one spot, they just got one ridge line to go over, and they've got everything they need. The first bugle was at 5:15, and it's just right over there. Working my way out of here. There was a big ass storm, but this is my third wallow that I've run into within a 100-yard radius. He was in this last night. My camera is about 50 yards up this place a little bit. But that is a pretty serious wallow. So that's 3 of them now. This is the biggest one by far. All right, it's starting to rain. I'm getting out of here kind of quick, a little bit early. Look at this. This is the 4th wallow I found. None of these were here a week ago. It's crazy how much work can get done. It's actually been only 5 days, 7 days since I've been up here. 4th wallow. Crazy. And they weren't here this morning. They left at 1:40 a.m. last night. Okay, just giving a quick update. Got back to the hunting unit. Went to our number 1 spot. The sheep herder has moved out, but it appears the loggers have moved in. There's a big trailer there, flatbed trailer, that was hauling something heavy. The gate, just like this one, is always supposed to be closed, but the gate was open. So I just got out of there, came to spot number 2. And we've had a lot of activity on cameras here. A little late getting up here, it was a long drive. 4:30, about an hour and a half late going in. Gonna pick up the 2 SD cards and see what's happened over the last week. But it's hot, strangely hot. It's mid to high 80s down at lower elevations, you know, the front range. Up here it's in the 70s. All I have is a t-shirt on underneath this mesh camo jacket. So I came up to the first wallow area, and it looks pretty settled. The tracks are all smushed back in. It's not disturbed. There's a bigger one on the other side of this. And then there's 2 other smaller ones. So I'm going to go check all those and check the last SD card and get set up for the evening. Isn't this different? I was up here 10 days ago. Actually 12 days ago. Everything's changed. As soon as I got to my rocky spot here, I have a bugle right about there. I bugled to it 1 time. It bugled back 2 times. So I'm going back down, do some cow calls and maybe 1 bugle, and just try to use cow calls to get him to come out into the marsh down there. That's where all his wallows are. All right, I'm about 200 yards from the bull. He's going bananas. Right over there. I'm using the hoochie mama. these rocks. This is my little ambush zone. Here he comes, here he comes. Well, that got pretty intense for a few minutes. I went right straight through there and stopped at that pine tree and was ready, set up this way. And he came out right down here. He hung up at 74 yards, started to turn around and walk into the trees. I did a few cow calls with the hoochie mama behind me. He turned around, came out to 54 yards, facing me, and I didn't have really any good shooting position at that point. I needed him to come another 10 yards and turn broadside. And when he didn't see anything, he got pretty confused because he's 54 yards away from where he heard those cow calls. And he turned around, and I watched him go up. So I started paralleling up, went up about 100 yards, switched up the cow call, and nothing. He went silent for a long time, and that was one impressive bugle. His last bugle was right down here at the bottom. Another thing that tells me is that in this entire basin here, he's the only bull. If there were other bulls here, if there was a 6x6 or the 5x5 in here with cows, he would have sounded off when that guy sounded off. So he let off 3 bugles, and I'm the only thing that responded to him in this entire basin here. It doesn't mean that there's not some small groups of cows that haven't been rounded up by a bull. So, what time is it? It's almost 6 o'clock. I got to be walking at about 7. I just missed him again. I better get moving. I was expecting them to come right up in front of me, except they went right up there. I was standing where she was.